Okay, welcome back to another episode of the Day After Podcast.
What's up, everyone? This I just want to say this episode kind of sucked, and that's because Joe had no people to lose because they were all gone. So the stakes were super, super low watching
Yeah,
this.
yeah. And I'll be honest,
Also,
this
we have
was
Jake.
yeah.
Y-
Welcome back to the podcast, Jake from the Tribe of Nerds.
happy to be back.
But back onto that, this episode also just kind of sucked because it was super predictable. It just felt like they tried. I could tell in the edit they really were trying to say like, oh, maybe it's not Kyle. Maybe it's Genevieve, but it
Yeah.
just Kyle early on said, I have to win out or I go home. If you put that into, and they could have put that in any of the episodes that he's going home. They put it in
Yeah.
this episode. So immediately when I heard that, I was like, Kyle's going home.
hmm
Yeah. I mean, like this episode, I will say was interesting. I liked it. The thing is, it's a very straightforward vote, and I don't always think predictable is boring. It's just more so like that's just what's going to happen this
Yeah.
episode. Though I will say we started on the previously on Survivor thing, and it did bring up a lot of stuff about idols and stuff like that,
hmm
and there was
Mhm.
no payoff to that Chekhov's gun. Maybe they're
Yeah.
starting to play with us a little bit more in the previous on Survivor,
Mhm.
but like I did find that interesting right at the get-go. They were like, "Oh, idols," and then no idols.
Yeah, I've noticed
Yeah.
that there's been a lot more long-term like storytelling on this season where they are like
Yeah.
setting up something and then like having a narrative that is happening throughout that doesn't pay off necessarily right away. So I wonder if that's just another one of those things where they're just like kind of like planting the seeds like, hey, remember like here's where everything is, who's got what. And yeah.
Yeah, I've been
Yeah.
trying to pay attention to the previously ons to know like what storyline might come up in this episode. And
Mhm.
then yeah, I noticed that too is like Sue's idol gets brought up and like Rachel's idol and I was like, "Oh, are we gonna get like idols get
The
played here and
yeah.
something happen?" And
Mhm.
then now it's just the predictable Kyle boot. So,
I mean, it makes sense. If someone's winning all the challenges and stuff
Yeah.
like that, you should probably take them out because it could cost you the game no matter what the statistics are. Miles and Miranda, send this to them. Granted, they made it to the end, but at the same time, they were lucky. Sorry, still bitter.
Uh,
Anyway,
Yeah. Well, also, when someone is winning challenges and has the story, I don't think necessarily
yeah.
people are voting as much nowadays just because of a story. But if you have a story and something on your resume, that's when it becomes kind of dangerous.
right, right. And I mean, we definitely seen that come up in the past. I'm trying to think like off the top of my head of I mean, I guess like close thing to that is like Jeremy Collins and Second Chances had the story and
Hmm.
like the resume of
Yeah.
like he had a great social game, great strategic game, but then he also had the story. So like you
New
Yeah.
get that.
yeah.
Yeah. Adam Klein
New era.
also
Yeah,
story.
Adam Klein, yeah.
New
Yep.
era, I think
Hmm.
Marianne, because she was underestimated throughout the whole thing, but she
Yep.
did start to
Yep.
make moves, took out some big players along the way. And I feel
Right.
like with Kyle, like they were saying, like, like they said a few episodes earlier, if you like, he makes it to the end, he wins. But like, and I think this episode kind of like expressed it more of like how nice of a guy this person is. Because he had a lot of like hero moments this episode, but I know like he was originally one of the targets on Tuku and that just never really resolved. But like, it was one of those things where you did see how it was just genuine, nice to people. I think the only time he was ever like shady, quote unquote, is this game is when you know, he basically told on Rome.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
like the only thing. But then again, it was also like everyone kind of doesn't like
Yeah.
Rome.
Everyone heard Rome and
So
said,
like
"You're right, Kyle. Let's get rid of Rome."
Yeah, I don't think I think everybody was just on the same page at that
yeah.
point.
It wasn't like he was being too shady, but yeah. So like that was his like only thing that would even fall under that umbrella. Everything else he's been very straightforward with
Yeah.
and very honest, and like he literally hugged everyone on the way out. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was.
He's
That's
the casual fans are in disarray right now. Like
yeah.
they love Kyle. They were I saw so many people in the last few weeks saying Kyle was going to win the game. And I was just like, he's not winning the game. And it is not letting telling us he wins the game. But casual fans, because and I was thinking about it recently, uh casual fans just love challenges. Like that's the thing. Like whenever someone is any good at a challenge, they love them. You know, Ozzy, Jonathan. Like those are the people that casual fans love because challenges are so easy for an audience to understand.
Yes.
When you go into strategy, that's when casual fans get lost in things because they're not sure. They don't fully understand like why these moves are being made. So they kind of get lost in the sauce there. Because the people I watch with Survivor with, they're casual fans. They loved Kyle. They were so upset when Kyle went home, and I
I feel
was,
somewhat attacked because you know that I love a good challenge piece as well.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
you can, but the thing is like you weren't going in 42, going like Jonathan is the best player of the season. He should win the game. I love
No,
Jonathan. Like that's what I'm
I
saying is
love.
that casual fans will say that.
Okay.
Yeah. I just saw like a bunch of casual fans today. There was a post being like, Kyle just left. I feel like there's no one left that's deserving of winning the game. I'm like, really?
Yeah,
That's what
You
you're
sure
saying?
about that?
yeah.
Are you
I'm
sure about that?
now.
Yeah.
I will say, I've been on the Andy train for a while. Okay,
Yeah.
I've been on the Andy train. I might be getting
Mhm.
off the Andy train. I
I
think this
might be
episode
too.
is getting me off the Andy train. I think Rachel's train is going at 100 miles per hour right now,
Skyrocket.
and Andy's train is coming to a halt.
I think another thing, and I know we're kind of like jumping ahead to like the next time on Survivor, but
Yeah.
with Kyle's elimination, there are two guys left in the game. And the thing is, we talked about earlier about how, there's long term story arcs and stuff like that in there. They introduced a little while back the whole thing about, like, oh, all women's alliance and everything like that. They even showed clips back to, the Black Widow Brigade all the way
Mhm.
back in fans versus favorites, and they made that thing, and then they just didn't really touch it for a while. But on the next time on Survivor, they bring it up in the preview, and then it's one of those things where it's like I see them all five of them as a very strong core, or I can see these five
Yeah.
working together
Yeah. Well,
to be like, hey, let's just make final five.
interestingly, it's actually the four women besides Genevieve that
Yeah.
were doing the all girls thing. So they're basically saying, Genevieve, you're
They
not
might
part of
loop her
us.
in. They might loop her in, and be like, hey, instead of seven, do you want to be five?
What I'm guessing is they're just going to use Andy as a number. Like that's what they're going to be looking at him as. Take out Genevieve maybe next or Sam, depending on who wins immunity, and then take out whoever's next at six, and then Andy at five, and then so we get a final four female grouping. That's a very big possibility that we're getting.
Yeah, I'm wondering because like the way Andy has had this like rise in the edit, I honestly could like see him getting a final three and maybe having a win based off of story, but I
Mhm.
realize that his game itself isn't supporting it. But
Yeah. Well, I
um
think his game is like an okay, decent game, but the edits has like propped him up a lot more than I think
yes.
his game
Yes.
deserves. And so that's when what's kind of like been giving me those like warning signs of like winners. Is this like them trying to hype up someone who maybe isn't that great of a player to make them
The
seem better?
the Xander
Um,
edit from 41.
yeah, 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 exactly. I mean, see, the still can get a third place there. Um,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I just felt like I just saw Rachel's like edits. Like last episode, I think she had a great edit for a winner. This episode, I think, was a great episode for a winner.
Mhm.
She's got literally everything now in her power to get there. She's got.
Yeah.
We saw all of her alliances and social relationships happen in this episode. Oh, she has two different final threes that she made. She's a woman. There's been, in my opinion, a very clear, like distinct, like a woman needs to win the season kind of situation in like the editing. So there's now just like so much reasoning for. I just can't imagine Rachel getting to the end and not winning.
Yeah, if she makes it to
Yeah.
the end, I think Rachel wins. I'm either seeing that she is the winner or she is the fallen angel. I
Yeah.
feel like it's one of the two.
Yeah. Imagine Andy beats her in fire, and that's what gets him the win.
You
The
never know.
Gabler.
The Gabler. I've said he has a Gabler kind of edits.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
also heard that production is more excited about the next season than this season, which is exactly what production felt
Hmm.
about the Gabler season.
What
I
where
don't
they
know. Sometimes
were.
Yeah,
production doesn't always mean like we're gonna like it. So I always take
yeah.
that with a grain of salt.
It depends because also they're usually saying that before they know the final product or any of that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
But my guess is that they just didn't like Gabler's win of 43, so they just were like 43 sucks. Like when
Yeah.
they went after filming it.
It was
So
shocking, don't get me wrong. It was
y-
definitely shocking. I
yeah.
thought I had a little too much and I was seeing things.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I
but
mean,
no, the cast of 43 was there and they told me,
Yeah.
yeah, we voted Gabler.
Yeah. See, I like 43. I actually think Gabler's win is like so unique that it made it way funnier. Like I love comedy and that was the ultimate punchline.
yeah, I think maybe rewatching 43, I might laugh at that season more on a
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
rewatch.
like,
Yeah.
say what you want about Gabler, and like, both my parents are veterans. For the
Mhm.
new viewers that don't know that, and so like the fact that he literally donated his entire earnings from that game to it, I think is a very profound thing to do. I don't know if that was something that he told people along the way
hmm
that he would do, but it was like that's
it's
one thing where I'm not gonna ever totally shit on Gabler because of that. He's also a fun
yeah.
guy. I met him at
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
45 finale
Yeah,
of
most
Freshman
people
Win.
would say like you get why he wins when you talk to
Yes.
him.
Yes.
So
He
like it's so weird because I think everyone's perception of him on episode 1 was like this guy's just crazy. So we're
putting
just gonna
palm
look at him.
fronds.
Yeah, he's just gonna be this crazy guy. Nothing we can take is serious, and we thought that the entire season. He has a very super clear, one of the clearest winner edits actually. If you like ignore how you like your just your own perceptions of what he is. You actually see like everything he's saying is like there very much for a reason to show
Yeah.
that he's winning the game.
Yeah, and he came on for one of the Survivor Vanquish finales. I think it was 9 and
Mhm.
Power Supply, and he literally addressed every single jury member, the finalists, production. Yeah, I can totally see why Gabler won 43 after that
Yeah.
too. So,
Yeah, yeah, and all. I mean, he obviously was lucky. I do think that at Final Six there were three powerhouse players, and the other and everyone realized these were powerhouse players, and were able to take out the powerhouse players, systematically. If
right,
that doesn't happen, if one of them gets the end, Gabler probably doesn't win. So there
right.
is definitely luck there, but like at the end of the day, like every winner needs some luck in some way or shape or form.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. So,
Uh, okay. Well, let's get back on to this episode. So let's go to the challenge. I love this challenge, by the way. This is a great one. It's very difficult. This is probably one of the tougher challenges
Yeah.
I'd say on Survivor. Like, if you suck at this challenge, like I almost feel like I can't even blame anyone for being bad at this challenge because it is like genuinely really hard to do.
Yeah. You have to keep the rope taut enough in order for it to stay balanced. You're also going back and forth
Yeah,
while having to balance that and also adjust your strength accordingly. You're walking backwards
yeah,
mhm.
as well. And then also, it's not like it's a rope. It's not like a board or something you have to like keep still. And then it's also a race. So there's like a lot of things that you gotta,
yeah.
concentrate on.
Yeah,
Also, you have to spell right.
yes, yes,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, backward spelling. Like that's the difficulty is you got to go kind of backwards there.
Unless
Unless
there's
unless you're Ben.
autocorrect.
Yeah.
Ben's the only one who will get called out for that, apparently. But no, I mean, yeah, this challenge is always fun to watch when it comes up, especially like I'm reminded of that, especially like how like everybody just kept dropping like when they were so close, and
Yeah.
then I'm like, is Rachel gonna drop? I thought she had it like
Hmm.
for that last minute or whatever, but I'm also like, so many people thought they had it and then they dropped. So
Yeah. No, that went on for a while, it seemed like.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I love about the challenge is that there's so many fake outs. Like I love it
Mhm.
when the positions change a lot. You know, sometimes
Yeah.
when you have like these races into puzzles, like they're going to be pretty much one person's ahead, and then maybe someone might come up. But this is one where it's like it's constantly doing this throughout the entire challenge, which is always fun.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree. That was
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and then and this was going into this, a lot of people were like, "All right, we just have to beat Kyle. We just have to beat Kyle." And it did seem like there were a few people that were about to. Rachel being one of them. Genevieve also was up there a few times.
Hmm.
And then it did look like even at the part where Rachel was like about to win, like Kyle was kicking into high gear and
Mhm.
then, like was able to place it. And I mean, at that point, you just have to go for broke because they're about to win. You have to try.
Right.
And he came pretty close. He built a very respectable amount of time to
Hmm.
catch up with her. But yeah, Rachel won it and pretty impressive win.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Something that the one thing that maybe is going to be a knock in Rachel's edit is that there is a deleted scene of her saying, "I need to win this immunity challenge, so Kyle doesn't, and so we can vote him out." Which is an interesting thing for them to cut. Like like that would I feel like that could be part of her story is winning here and taking out the challenge beast and because I feel like now Kyle would vote for Rachel. I feel like if a challenge beast loses to the person who is then ends up being there who won the challenge that took them out,
Yeah.
I feel like there's a little bit of that respect there. So
There,
interesting that like kind of that is one of the things that gets put on the chopping the cutting room floor.
Yeah, I've seen it often that yeah, the challenge piece gets taken out by someone and then that person goes to the jury and votes for the person who knocked them out. Like I've definitely
Hmm.
seen that. We just recently talked about it with International Survivor. So
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
yeah, exactly. So I mean, yeah, exactly. Rachel just secured that vote. I mean, it just feels like that every single person in the game is going to vote for her. We also kind of got a weird like I actually have been thinking about it. This almost feels like a better Erica edit with Rachel. Is that she started off very slow, and then
mhm.
in like the mid portion of the game, there's this moment where everyone is saying she is the biggest threat in this game. We have to we got to get this person out. They never were able to get her out, and then we just ignore her. Like they stop talking about how she's a threat, and now everyone is
Yeah,
suddenly aligned with her. Like the
Mhm.
exact same thing happened with Erica, but I think at least with Rachel, there's no stupid hourglass that complicated that edit because everyone was so upset about Erica's trajectory of winning now being overshadowed by an hourglass. But yeah, no, it just feels like it's kind of like a better version of that.
Mhm.
I think that's a fair statement. Because I think she had a decent enough edit in like the first episode.
Hmm.
And then that team wasn't really losing until like the Annika vote. And even then she didn't seem like a main character in that vote. Like we
Yeah.
heard like things here and there from her, but like it definitely felt like she was on the outs of that. And like it was giving a lot of focus and credit to like Andy and Sam.
Hmm.
Um and so and it wasn't really until I feel like when the final, like the whatever the jury fallen angel is, like the person that just makes it out or like just misses out on jury,
Oh, yeah,
like
Yeah.
the last pre-juror.
Yeah,
yeah,
when it should have been their merge, but now it just became a too cool pre-merge tribal council still.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like I would say when that happened, that's when we saw her like at its skyrocket. Like
Mhm.
it
Hmm.
was like you could even say that it started there.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, I agree with you. It like really started there, but I feel like since then it just was like such a big upward trajectory of like her edit, her win equity, and I
Yeah.
will also say likability because there was a lot of like cheering moments for her in this game, in these moments of like, yeah, it was
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. I mean, I'll let you know. I think I did the math right here, but I'll say she has 59 confessionals right now. 41 of them came from that episode onwards. So, yeah, like she
Yeah.
had 17 or 18 confessionals before that episode.
And that's only
And
like 3 or 4 episodes too.
uh yeah, it's about even this distribution. So like but it's still very clear like we weren't really seeing her pre-merge and then like an episode happens and now it's like okay,
Boom.
she's like a main character now. Because she
Yep.
has
Yeah.
been a supporting character, it felt like, up until that point. Um and like when everyone was saying like she's a threat, I definitely was in the ballpark of just like, well, if they're saying that now, they're going to be saying that in a few votes from now, and and they're just leading us up to that. But it just feels like they've dropped that storyline, which just to me feels like they were just trying to make us feel like, oh, the winner might be in danger. Actually, no, the winner is going to win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely wanted to talk about as well the fact that Genevieve's move against Soul was definitely the wrong move.
Oh, I was saying that I was wanting to give her the LVP when she did that, and I know that
Yeah.
Ryan gave her the MVP of that move, and I was just like, oh, she is killing herself in this game.
Yeah, there was just no
Listen, it's
reason.
only because Joe drafted Soul. If Joe didn't draft Soul, it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
She committed seppuku in Survivor. Like that's basically what she did was she took out Soul and basically made her seem like she's this big threat that has no power in the game, which is
Yeah,
the
I
worst thing.
it was
Yes.
just
Yes, it
really
is.
like annoying because I think it was like a case of big movitis
Yeah.
needing to make a move against this big like social threat, and
Mhm.
I just didn't see a reason for her to do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she could have gotten him gone at 6. I bet she could have been playing under the radar, make sure that because Soul isn't turning on her. I think that
No.
Soul is most likely going to trust her over any of these other players in the game. So that
Yeah.
only harms her. So just because you can make a move doesn't mean it's a good move. And I think a
Right.
lot of people forget about this sometimes, and they just go, "I want to swing for the fences and play Survivor and backstab." But you got to backstab right. You got to know the
Yeah.
timing to make moves.
Yeah, not just make a move because you want to be a villain.
Yeah.
No. You have to be
Uh,
smart. Um, I mean, she's still here 4 rounds later, but she is in hot water. Like
Hmm.
she, like it is something where her name has come up 2, tribals in a row. And then I don't see it going down because like even if like, the women do get together and rope her in on it, she is still the fifth in that.
Yeah.
Because they're gonna see her as a threat.
mhm.
Like because she does, or I think like in definitely in like preseason, I kind of was like seeing her a little bit as like a Kim Spradlin Wolf
Yeah.
type,
Yeah.
Yep.
just like with glasses. Um,
Yeah.
and I feel like some people out there kind of also get that vibe from her as well.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
Um,
did.
Yeah,
so yeah,
the problem is that Kim was a phenomenal social player who connected with the players. She is now choosing to disconnect from the players so she can
Right.
make the moves, which is
Right.
terrible,
I
terrible
think
Yeah.
gameplay.
yeah, it is, but I think that's one of the tough things. It's like I think like that she was definitely shook by the Keyshawn thing. Because like I know for fans of us or like for us we've done it before, we've been playing org, so like we've been a part of that. And like, it does suck when you get rid of an ally or someone that is your friend.
Hmm.
But,
Yeah,
at the same time it's like it's still a social game. You still have
yeah,
to like make the connections and stuff like that.
Right.
Like it's
yeah,
okay to get attached to people because at the end of it, y'all are gonna be family. y'all are just gonna join up at the parties. You'll see each other,
Yeah.
at barbecues and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
think that there could have been a seriously dangerous group of four that could have came out of that tribe of Genevieve, Kishon, Aisha, and Teeny. Like if Genevieve doesn't decide to turn here and is able to like take out Soul at that one because Rome has the idol and then take out Rome the next episode, I think that there's a serious case that that four could have done some serious damage had they made the merge. I don't think they would have been immediately targeted. I think they all are players who would have been a little more under the radar. And then I think they would have been able to take control. Like we could have had maybe a Reba 4 situation. Um, but because Genevieve wanted to make the move, and I get it. Like I do think that she would have potentially been the fourth of that grouping.
Yeah.
But that's still getting you to fire making at least that's
Right.
whereas taking out those players now kind of leaving yourself with no soldiers to fight for you
I
it
don't know. I feel like Keyshawn also was starting to get big movitis or like getting drunk with power.
Yeah.
Um, like he definitely was like, he was pulling strings where he didn't have to pull strings. And then,
Right.
it
yeah.
got back to Genevieve and it's like, you know, I don't think I can trust that moving forward. Like, yeah, like Soul and like
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, like I don't necessarily want to work with Soul further. And I know that, Rome is going to be an issue because he's chaotic, but he's chaotic and on my side, whereas Keyshawn, I'm expendable to
Mhm.
Keyshawn. So like why do I want to keep Keyshawn around, especially if he's playing a game?
Mhm.
Or especially if he's like playing this game and like trying to be behind everything.
Yeah, but I feel like she got into a situation where she didn't really want to get rid of any of the people that she wanted with at beginning with Rome and Soul, and then she got upset at Soul for doing it. But like I think she didn't really have like that expendable like I'm okay losing this person come the merge. I think she would have been totally fine if they got to the merge and they're like we when we have these three tribes, they kind of go like bam, bam, bam. Like everyone has to lose someone to kind of like
Yeah.
even out. I think Kashawn would have been a pretty easy in that grouping to throw under the
Easier
bus.
than Rome.
I mean, the thing is that she wanted Rome as a number one,
Mhm.
That's true.
and for her to have to give away her number one at the merge is a lot worse than giving away someone that she doesn't trust at the merge.
But then again, would she not be in that alignment because Teeny was very close with Asia? Would she not be in that position? Because, like, if Teeny and Kishan were close and Teeny and Asia were close, that leaves Genevieve on the out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she would have been in that Rome position, albeit not as like, like she would have been the same like scenario that you're saying.
Potentially, but I think the difference is that she wouldn't have been looked at as a player. She would have been looked at as someone who is just kind of there at that time, which I think
Sometimes that person gets targeted. Like if we see Mo from the previous
yeah, but
season,
Mo
she got
played it. She played it pretty bad. I'll just say. I mean, she
she,
she played that round very
she
bad.
made an error. She made an error. And
uh,
her teammates didn't help out when they were like, "Hey, let's
yes.
not get rid of
Yeah.
Mo."
Also,
Uh,
doctors. The track record of doctors is very bad on Survivor. I think if you say Kishan is a strong player, he's a doctor, he's very intelligent. I think people are going to be chomping at the bit to make that move. But yet again, I feel like I still think that they are not going to be there's not going to be a Rome scenario that happens if that four is getting there as much as the Rome scenario ends up being. I think that it's a little more like people I think there would have been more of a discussion that happened that round than just everyone dogpile onto one person.
Right. Right. I'll stand by that. I think the Kashan move was the right move for Genevieve. It's just that everything since then, she just made this wrong call with Soul, and
yeah.
Yeah,
so
I don't Vulture for making the move because I think it was right for her in that moment. It's
Mhm.
that kind of like hindsight is 2020. Like
Right, right,
looking back on
Yeah.
it now, like you can tell that like that's kind of where the start of her demise ends up happening, and then
right.
the soul thing is when it really blows up and becomes this kind of uncontrollable thing for her now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay. What else is there to talk about of this episode? I'm used to reviewing this like the day after, because that's why this is
Yeah.
called the day after podcast.
Yeah.
So I'm like
We
trying to
at
like refresh my
The
Thanksgiving.
brain.
the table with the balls and like the weights that
Oh
drag the table
yes,
into the ocean.
love that
I
That was
challenge.
I actually
cool.
liked this. Like my dad and I had never seen anything like this in Survivor history where like they've
Yeah.
done the ball type challenge like in
Hmm.
I remember Triple H and Edge of Extinction, like Rick Devens and Chrissy have won this challenge before, but to have it like to get this advantage, you have to do that, but it's tied to the weights, and yeah,
Hmm.
it'll just get
Yeah.
pulled away into the ocean. Like it was just so fun.
Very, very theatrical too. It's
Yes.
also
Yeah.
felt like a little bit like a saw trap
Yep.
in some regards, where it's like,
Yeah.
if you don't do this, your hopes of winning this game will be dragged to the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah, it was just so funny and creative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just my only thing is I wish that the advantage was better than a block vote. Like
Yeah.
it's cool if she's
Yeah.
got a block vote, but like that's only going to be useful like 3.2% of the times that you go out there to play Survivor. Like
I
it
will
can
say it
happen, but
I will say that this one was interesting because it's not a public block a vote. This one is
yeah.
secret. Most of the time, it is something you have to publicly announce. Like, same with like a steal a vote. Like you usually had to publicly announce to be like, all right, Deborah, you cannot, vote because I'm using the block a vote on you. So like the
Mhm.
fact that it is also silent as well, I feel like they could probably trace it back to her anyway. I know she
Mhm.
was very selective on who she told, but I feel like, it was like, someone blocked my vote. I wonder who may have had something to do with that. Oh, wait, could it be the person that said that she didn't get anything? Um, or like,
Yeah.
like, because usually with the journeys and stuff like that, you can kind of like trace back and be like, oh, okay, well, when these three players went to their journey. They got the amulets, and they all played that at the same time. Rome went, and he got the steal a vote and stuff like that. Like it's like, oh, okay, you can kind of trace back of like who might have gotten what because they went on the journeys.
Mhm. Yeah. So I mean, I'm just glad she did it. I feel like whenever you have like an advantage like this and they don't do it and you don't get to see the advantage, it does suck. But she did. Maybe it was editing magic, but it looked like she got it and then it fell. Like it definitely,
Yeah.
at least the
Yeah.
cut made it seem, super, super intense.
Well, I mean,
Right.
that anchor drops fast too. Like that rope was like going.
Yeah.
It looked like she had maybe 2 minutes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, and that's the puzzle is very simple actually. Like almost anyone can do that puzzle. It's the
Right.
stress of you
Yes.
have this much time, and it's the pressure. Like that's really what is going to like melt players in this scenario. And the rope like uncurling, and then you hear the splash. Like every time you hear that splash, it's just like already like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like I'd get stressed. My anxiety would spike up a little bit too much.
I
Yeah.
don't think my himbo brain could do it in time. It took me like 45 minutes to do a slidey puzzle in one of the orgs I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually do that kind of puzzle like on my phone sometimes. So for me, I was just like, that's to me, I thought it was just super simple.
So everyone at home that's an orger, he's a big challenge threat.
I'm
You
not a
have to get rid of
challenge.
him.
I'm not.
Yes, he is. He
I've
just
won
said
one challenge in
he
my entire.
casually he casually does the slidey puzzles.
It's not even a slide. I mean, actually,
Big mistake.
I mean, I do practice slide puzzles too, but like I,
Joe, you made a mistake.
a big mistake, Kubernets.
Yeah. I mean, I've also only won one challenge in my org career, and it was a Pokemon quiz. So I don't think I am anywhere close to being a challenge beast.
I am pegged as a challenge beast, even though I only win a couple challenges. And then people's like, Brian's a challenge beast. He's a god tier player, even though that is not the case. I am a dumbass.
Hey, it's a
And if you
it's a
look back at
compliment.
my moves, if you look back at my moves, I am very much a dumbass.
You know what they say, Ryan? Perception is reality. So in their reality, you're awesome, great challenge beast.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's like they don't have the receipts. They don't have the receipts. You know,
They
perception
got
may be
some receipts.
reality.
They might be
They have a
2 week old
few,
receipts,
but
but
they're
they got
short.
receipts.
They can't return it. They can't return it back to the store. The 30 days have expired. But like I don't know. I feel like the whole thing it's just like yes, perception is definitely reality in these games. Um but I feel like the narrative and stuff, and it's like sometimes you do have to like think and it's like, okay, who is actually a threat in my game? And I feel like in this game in 47, this especially now that we're down to the final several in this game, it's
Yes.
like you really are starting to look at like, okay, who can also win this game? I think Genevieve has a case to win this game. I think Sam can have a case to win. I think that Andy and Rachel also have a case. I think I know like the popular theory is that that Caroline is going to win this. And I'm just not seeing it there because she's
I'm
just
not
not
either.
getting the
No,
screen time to support it. I think she's very
no.
nice. Yeah. Like there a lot of people are saying, "Oh, well she's never really doing anything wrong," but I'm like, "But what's she doing, like the edit's not there,
Yeah.
unfortunately for her. Neither is it with Sue.
Yeah,
We check in on Sue here and there, but it's like not
yeah.
as frequent.
She had a great pre-merge edits. Like she would have been top three maybe for me before we hit the Rome vote. And then just like it just plummeted super fast. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like right now we're just in a situation where I think Rachel just has like a 95% chance to win the game. I think Andy's got like a 5% chance. Like I think that there is the chance that something crazy goes on and Rachel loses fire making and he wins. And then I think everyone else, I just see them losing. I just like I Teeny kind of maybe you can give her a 1 or 2% chance, like there's a
Yeah.
chance, but I don't think she's got the story arc that they would want
Yeah.
for her.
No. I think some things have come about in her story. Like we got some personal
Yeah,
content from
Yeah.
Teeny.
yeah,
But I see Teeny as she could possibly lose fire making
yeah,
and be the fallen angel instead, or she's a losing finalist.
yeah. I can see her going out even at 5. Um,
That could happen
Yeah.
too.
5 is like that kind of just like this person's so likable that they would win a final three. Let's just take them out. Like I could see that she ends up having that kind of like situation. She's just like, I'm one of the best players ever, all Ricards from 41, and
Yeah.
it's just
I
like gets that like hero music as she goes out.
Well, I mean, they
Yeah.
also have the pretty decent spot in the game as well,
Hmm.
because like it doesn't seem like they're an immediate target for like anyone really.
Yeah.
Like uh the only person that's really concerned about her is Genevieve, but also Genevieve can't really rally the votes in order to make
Yeah.
that shot.
Yeah. Genevieve is out of here either next episode or the episode after. I mean, I just don't see a world where she's making it to final five or beyond. It just like unless like Genevieve ends up having the perfect challenges in her wheelhouse to like immunity her way to the end. I just don't see it. I also feel like we've almost been told that she is a robot out there because she's disconnecting from all these people, which a winner would not be saying that. A winner would be like, I care for these people who I'm playing the game with. not
Yeah.
not I'm disconnecting myself.
Yeah, again, like the comparisons to Kim Spradlin, just she is no longer Kim Spradlin at this point. Like
Yeah.
No.
she has, yeah, like you said earlier, Joe, like Kim Spradlin would have had still had these connections and wouldn't be saying like, oh, she's like a game bot. So like I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, like you can have your relationships and then try really hard to get to the end, and then you know that you're gonna have to make a few cuts at the end. But it's better cutting them at the end than cutting them at 10. Like
Yeah,
at least
Yeah.
yeah.
there's you've made it essentially as far as you can with that alliance, and now you can start making the moves. But when if you make the
Yeah.
moves before you get your numbers to the end, and you're just screwing yourself.
Mhm.
Yeah. It did seem like that was one of the things where I, it's a tough thing because it's also like you also one of the tough things about Survivor is like also wanting to make the move because you don't want to be the move. And I think we've
Mhm.
seen the last couple episodes that Genevieve has also been a little worried about the votes as well. And it wasn't like just because, she made that move against Solo. It was just more so of like she's starting to like be like, okay, my numbers are starting to like dwindle. There is like an obvious like, five or like kind of like forming.
Mhm.
Not many people are biting the whole let's take out Tuku thing, even though I will say they kind of have been because there's only two Tuku left.
Mhm.
Um,
It's wild.
and
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't think too much. I mean, like Andy and Kyle, or not Andy and Kyle, Gabe and Kyle were pretty big threats. I mean, Tiana, it was like Tiana would have stayed if the safety without power wasn't there.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
yep.
But it's like one of those things where it's like it was down to those two, and then they were like, well, yeah, Gabe. The thing is like Gabe is pretty strong and stuff like that. We just have to wait until Kyle gets something, so we'll get Gabe out because he also won a challenge.
Right.
Um,
Mhm.
and also we need to weaken Tuku.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tuku was so strong at just a couple weeks ago, and now I mean we're down to probably the two people who are least likely to win of that grouping of Tuku. So it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, which is
Yeah.
fair. The
Yeah,
the editing of Tuku, especially pre-merge, was abysmal. We barely saw this tribe. It was like occasionally we would check in with Gabe,
Yeah.
and Gabe would be talking to Sue or Caroline. Like that was kind of the relationships that we were kind of told. And once Gabe leaves, I mean, like that's the only person who maybe had anything to do with getting to the end for Tuku. So now that he's gone, it was just kind of like, okay, well, Caroline and Sue. There's just I think Sue's the final three. I think she's the zero vote finalist at the end of the game.
I
Um,
can see it.
I
I,
can
I
see it
I
too.
don't think people are going to target her. I think uh, no one's going to respect her in the game. I think maybe she gets Caroline's vote if Caroline's on the journey on the jury. But even then, I think Caroline would rather vote for Rachel over Sue.
Yeah. And Gabe's gonna support the game and big moves. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, it's going to be Rachel. But man, I just want Andy to win. That would be so funny. That would be so great. That
I
would be
know
I don't.
I
I don't want to. I don't want to say that it would be funny. I feel like he's had a decent arc throughout it, and it's not even
yeah,
like comical. Like I know he was painted as the George Costanza
yeah,
early on in this season, but he's come into his own. It's just like he was definitely like a player that needed to find his bearings. And then he
yeah,
did.
yeah.
And then,
He's
like
another good example for him right now, Carolyn from 44.
yes.
That she's this goofy person that everyone perceives as there's no chance that he's going to win the game. Actually, is playing a decent game from the shadows. But no one is going to respect him if he gets to the end, even though
Yeah.
that maybe strategically he was playing just as much as Rachel or whoever ends up winning, which I'm assuming it's Rachel at this point because it just seems so
Yeah.
clear.
yeah.
But like, I can see that being his kind of story that ends up happening as well.
Yeah. I agree with
I
that.
think that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah, which sucks because Andy's so fun, and I think he's going to be on 50. I think that they have edited him this way as a Russell Hans kind of like, let's build this guy up for season 50. Like they've announced that they got someone, and I think he is. I think he might be that person
I
actually.
think there's a few people I can see coming back for 50, or just like in general. I feel like there's a few good contenders. I feel Kyle this episode definitely I can see coming back.
People are
Um
saying that. I don't think so. I don't.
audience perception plays a factor
Yeah,
into that
Uh,
sometimes. Not all of them, because we get some
yeah,
stray people where like, really, they made the cast?
yeah. I think the
But
thing is
that
like
being said,
people just love him for being a challenge beast, but there are so many asterisks next to his challenge wins. There's the
there's
one.
only one.
eh,
Calm
uh,
thyself.
so
mhm,
there's the one where he actually didn't win the challenge. He got third place. But
yeah,
also his some of his other challenges have been when they're like dividing people up into sexes or different like there's been a lot of dividing that's been happening that has kind of gotten him some wins, you know. I mean, he still had to do something, but it's
But I
not
mean,
like
they've done that before in different like.
yeah, but I
I,
think I think everyone can agree that there's been more dividing in the early stages of these challenges than in a lot of the previous seasons. Um, and
that's
for him
fair.
to kind of win those specific challenges, um, I would rather them bring like Jonathan, who he didn't necessarily win. He didn't win four immunities, individual immunities, but he's at least a better person in terms of the team challenges. I think that he at least makes them seem more interesting. Kyle is like that kind of guy who he's pretty good. He's decent. Um, he's you put him on a season, he's probably going to win at least a challenge. But I don't see him
Yeah,
as the Aussie of the new era.
yeah.
that's fair.
I think it's fun too because I would say my parents were already rooting for Kyle because of he's from Sheboygan, Michigan.
Mhm.
So as a
Yeah,
Michigander, I have to kind of support that, but I never necessarily thought Kyle had the strategic chops from the beginning to
Yeah,
make it. So
I can
yeah.
see I can see Rome coming back for 50. I can
Mhm.
see Andy. I can see Rachel. I think not too much of strep. I think Sam has a case. It's not a strong case, but I
Mhm.
can see him come back.
yeah,
Or at least he doesn't have as strong as a case the other three. I could potentially see a soul. Um,
I think Soul might have a good chance, honestly. I mean, I
yeah,
think
Yeah. I
uh,
don't know. I feel like it's tough because I like Soul. I think he definitely grew as a character throughout the
mhm,
season, but I feel like he's not a first ballot. Let's bring him back. He feels like someone who maybe they're
yeah,
going to wait a little bit before they bring him. I could see, and yet again, we don't know what the if there's going to be a theme for 50, if there's going to be any like requirements that they kind of want. So I just know that they want joyful players. They want people who are
yeah,
joyful.
Zelensky.
Zelensky. But
Zelensky
Andy
is
is
full of
the
joy.
embodiment of joyful out there. He's having a blast. He's enjoying, all the blindsides. He's outwardly saying at tribal, "Wow, it was so fun to blindside Sierra."
those it's just so funny, and Sierra's like the angriest juror right now.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's so funny.
So I see just so, and I do think Rome has a case. I do think Rome has a serious case of being on 50. I would say that there's, if I had to guess, it's either Andy or Rome or is that person that they were talking about. I think Rachel was a good player, but I feel, and this also happens a lot, is that female winners especially, they like to not play right away. They like to say, I got my win. Let me kind of like maybe wait a little bit. I got my $1 million. I don't need to rush back out to the island.
Or they disappear completely from the community.
Yeah, so I think I,
So
I feel like there's a good chance that Rachel is just going to be one of those players who maybe we see at like season 60 or something. But
Well, I mean, like, we're all under the assumption that she wins. I think
yeah,
it's a one out of several shot, and I think she definitely has the strongest case of winning, but it is not set in stone yet.
yeah, it just seems super likely. So
It
I'm gonna
does
I'm
seem
gonna I'm
super
gonna
likely,
make it all this
but we can't.
hypothetical.
Joe, never count your chickens before they hatch.
I don't even have
It
chickens.
seems so you shouldn't be counting the fucking eggs.
I'm getting the eggs from the grocery store. What are you talking about?
What if they break in the car? Have you
well,
checked
well,
if there's any
I don't
cracks
have a car, so I'm carrying my eggs.
before you
I
get into the Uber or your bike? What if you hit a pothole on your way home when it's in your bike and then you fall flat on your face and then I call you up to laugh and then you look over and you're like, "Oh damn, my eggs are broken." And then I laugh at that. What then, Joe? Will you be counting your eggs then?
Well, I also don't know how to ride a bike, so this is another flaw in this story.
That is not the flex you think it is.
Wow,
We
this
went
is
down.
pretty exciting.
What modes of transportation do you know, Joe?
I got my legs. I got my
Do
little legs.
you?
Yeah.
You need to learn how to ride a bike.
uh no, bikes are whatever. But back to the
Bikes
episode.
are fun.
It's
And especially if you don't have a car.
like
Back
who
me up,
cares?
Jake.
I mean, bikes, yeah, they're probably the next fastest mode of transportation. Like a car, a bike, and
But then you gotta
um,
like find a place to park the bike, and then you gotta get a lock for your bike, and then
that's
you gotta
true.
hope that
That's not
someone
as
doesn't
bad as
steal
you
your
think.
bike.
You live in a small town upstate. You're
People still
fine.
steal bikes. So they're crackheads at the gas station. If I go to the gas station, I might find someone who is just like, I'm breaking this lock and taking that bike.
Yeah.
Get a Vespa.
And then I'll look like a douchebag. Okay, moving on.
You are a douchebag.
uh, well, I want to get back to the episode. I think Annie made so much logic that no one agreed with in this episode, where I
Arrow,
actually
right?
like he comes up with and I think the problem is he had trouble explaining to like Caroline and a lot of these people like his logic because his logic is there, but people are just like, what do you mean he only has a 5.2% chance to win immunity? He's got a way better chance. He's explaining that about winning out specifically. Like,
Yeah.
he's afraid more of can Kyle win every challenge after this one, as kind of like the thing of just like, we can wait till the next time. And make the move against Genevieve, who is a perceived bigger threat in terms of strategical, like that making that move. But everyone's just like, what are you talking about? 5.2%? That doesn't make sense. But
It
uh,
makes perfect fucking sense.
yeah, it's actually it is actually like correct. And this is why I think his edit dived a bit. Is that I definitely saw a little more dunking on him this episode, where it definitely felt like they were trying to make him like a lot of other players were saying how dumb this move, how dumb Andy was sounding right now, which is obviously not good. It kind of
I
shows.
don't think they were saying that he was dumb. It's just like they were like disagreeing.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
they were like, because like I do feel like, and like Jake and I even talked about this the other day. I feel even though no one has ever won 8 challenges in Survivor's history of like
Mhm.
individual, it only takes one person to break a record, and
yeah.
it takes only one person to make that in the realm of
Yeah.
possibility.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just love that he literally said what a lot of us have been saying about how Kyle has been winning these challenges of division and that one. Like he literally brings this stuff up, and just no one wanted to care about it. They were just like, nope, doesn't matter. Well, we've all agreed on this before the challenge, so it's locked in.
Hmm.
Right.
Well, any other thoughts of the episode?
I mean, Sam's still in, so I'm somehow still in my draft.
Good for you. That's actually a really hard thing to do nowadays.
I know, right?
It's
Yeah.
actually really hard to stay in a fantasy draft.
No,
I this well no like it is hard for him because he has like he's doing it with like 3 other people. Joe,
right.
I don't know what your excuse is.
Hey, at
I
least I didn't draft Tiana.
Good for you. Next time you come down to
wow.
LA, I will give you a golden star sticker that you can place on your binder. If you
Uh,
get 3, you get to pick a toy from the toy chest.
wow, so patronizing. Wait till next season, and you're going to be the one losing all your people right away.
Let me relish the good times while it's there. I know it is a possibility. I'm not going to get a cameo from whoever the winner is just to fuck with you, Joe. I'm not. I've learned from you not to do that. So thank you. But like I need to enjoy the W when I have the W because
Right.
next season it's not guaranteed. So
Yeah,
let me bask in it. You've been rubbing it in my face all this time. You're like, ha ha ha.
I've significantly been better at these drafts. Even when you end up getting the winner, like the rest of your team sucks. So
Maybe I've gotten better.
mhm. Hey, I also think this cast sucks. This is a terrible season. It did not go the way that it should have. So that really this is bottom five season.
No, he's
Or,
only saying that because he lost
worse than
the
Thailand.
draft.
Worse,
And that's
worse than
hilarious.
Redemption Island.
Let's not make those
Yeah.
claims.
No, Joe, come on. It's okay. You're going to look back a year from now and be like, 47 was awesome. I just hate Ryan.
No, I think it got the Jelensky curse of being 40 several, and so that means that it had to suck. It had to be against all logic. So my draft was
Because
all
think,
logic.
sure.
I think
Okay.
Jelinski cursed his own season to suck though, so
I liked 46.
Yeah.
46 was fun.
I think that there's a lot of entertainment value of 46 that we did not get in a lot of New Era seasons.
Hmm.
But it's specifically like the latter half of the season is really fun. It has a really bad episodes 2 to 4 that are like so abysmally bad that watching week to week makes it seem like this cast sucks. When it was actually an interesting, like messy cast, that was really fun to just see. Like it was a comedy of errors. Like the season was a comedy of errors.
Hmm.
yeah, just 3 episodes of Banu was too much.
Yeah,
They gave him like
yeah.
10 confessionals per episode.
Yeah, well, and I said this too. The problem with 46 was that they made that go into the 90-minute format when it wasn't supposed to be the 90-minute format. Um,
Right.
and so the problem when you do that is, especially the early stages, like they don't have that much time. So that means that's why we get each one of those episodes has 8 Banu confessionals saying the exact same thing again about being on the outs because they had to fill time. So there's a lot of time filling that they ended up having to do, which obviously sucks. But like once you get to like the merge, there's more things that are fun that can end up
Going
happening
on.
that can make the 90 minutes. But in the pre-merge, sometimes you don't have that for that full stretch. So they have
That's
to give us
fair.
Banu, which sucks. I
Hey, hey, hey.
if
Do
Banu
you know how
was
much screen time you need in order to win a million hearts? It's
I
more than I
think
got on Vanquish.
I think if Banu had like 3 to 4 confessionals in those episodes, like he like just like a decent amount, I actually think people would have actually been sympathetic for Banu. I think they would have actually felt like, oh no, but because we got so much of him saying the same thing, and for 3 episodes of it, just like and the inevitable fall of Banu, definitely did not help his case. Uh,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
fair.
Yeah. Also,
Fair.
he had 35 confessionals. Yeah, as the fourth boot. So, uh, my theory is if you're not at this point having at least 35 confessionals, you like Banu set the bar. You got to be at least that's the Banu bar. You need more than 35 confessionals. Otherwise, you're not winning the season.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Speaking of confessionals,
Mhm.
should we get into the confessional count?
Yes, yes. Let me get
All
it
right,
up
because
here.
we value screen time on this channel, we like to count the confessionals because it gives you a hint on who may be winning this game.
Yes, yes. So let's start with Kyle, who went out here. He ends with 29 confessionals.
So
Um,
less than Banu.
but less than
Wow.
Banu. Yeah, so just showing you. I mean, he made it this far with less confessionals than Banu. I mean, I don't think they cared about what Kyle was saying out there.
Apparently not. Apparently not.
Damn.
The nicest man ever, apparently, just yeah, is not gonna get any love.
Yeah. So yeah, there's that. And then the person with the most confessionals is still Sam at 66 confessionals. Um,
Yeah.
Wow.
pretty good, pretty good. And then second place, Rachel has now gotten second place here with 59 confessionals. She
Very
had
nice.
she had 14 confessionals this last episode.
Yeah,
So
it's
14.
insane.
14.
That's a pretty good amount. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, pretty decent. And I feel like obviously the confessional counts are going to be a bit more because there's less
Hmm.
contestants to share screen time with.
Yeah.
So that's why I would even say that's why we've been seeing more of Genevieve too, when
Hmm.
her edit before this was kind of like feast or famine.
Yeah. And then third place here in confessionals, we got Andy with 56. It's just a little bit behind Rachel. Um, and then next up in fourth, we got Teeny with 50 confessionals. And then in fifth, we got Genevieve with 42 confessionals. And then sixth is Sue with 37 confessionals, so just above the Bonu bar. Um, and then we got Caroline at 30 confessionals, below the
So
Bonnie bar.
Wow.
she just needs four more. It's
Five,
very
five, yeah,
likely
five, five more.
four to meet it, five to beat it.
Yeah. No, five to meet it, six to beat it.
All right, five to meet it, six to beat it.
Yeah,
I'll remember because I have a little six necklace, six to
yeah.
beat Banu. Uh, but anyway, I think it's definitely possible, especially because, as I said, shorter amount of episodes with the trajectory of this game. I don't really see her going next episode unless something crazy happens. I
Mhm.
feel
Yeah.
she's pretty safe. Sue is safe. I really think it's going to be Genevieve or one of the fellers.
Yeah, I think I sent Jake a little what I'm assuming is going to be the boot list, like based off of what I think is going to happen. I think we are losing Genevieve next. I think that
Yeah.
she's going to be the person who gets targeted here. And then I actually personally think Sam is going to go on an immunity run from six onwards. I actually think he's going to like that's when we get a lot more of the obstacle-y kind of challenges that
Mhm.
I think benefit Sam more than these balance challenges. Um,
Yeah.
so I actually think he's going to kind of like do really good at the end game. And so I think six we will lose Caroline. I do think that we're going to lose her at six, and then I think we're going to be losing Teeny at five, doing what I was saying about kind of like the, oh you're a great player, you're going to win in the end, you're so likable, we got to take you out. Um, and then four is kind of where it can kind of differ a little bit. I think it's either going to be Andy or Rachel, depending on fire.
Yeah.
And then third is Sue, second is Sam, and Andy or Sam or Rachel ends up winning the game.
Yeah. I
One
could see
thing
that.
about that
Mhm.
is that I do believe since you did so terrible on this draft, your opinion is invalid. I'm playing. What you're saying makes a lot of sense, but I had to.
Mhm. Yeah.
This will probably be the last time until finale that I make the jokes about his draft. So, yeah,
Well, hey, you get a draft first next time, so now you get to have the chance to screw up. You
I
know.
do. I do. It's always that possibility, but
Yeah.
it's even funnier because you're the smart one.
Mhm.
It's okay if I make a mistake because it's just like,
Yeah.
oh, Ryan Himbo Wayne just being, a himbo. If
Yeah.
you if you make It's like the
Yeah.
Joker thing. It's like if I mess up because I didn't do something smart, nobody panics. But if Joe makes one little prediction that doesn't go right, well, everyone loses their mind.
Listen, one mistake in over 5 years of podcasting, pretty fucking good. I gotta say, like that my batting average is pretty
Gem,
high. Gem.
gem.
Well,
Still,
I
you are
still
still the
did good.
person
Yeah,
with the winner pick that went out at the earliest spot.
yeah, but
Asterisk next to obviously the Tyson one because he did come back and he was around for a little bit. So like
yeah.
some moral gray area there, but at the same time, he lasted longer.
Yeah, but I mean, we saw how good Gem is at Traders, so like she should have
Yes,
done way better at Survivor. I'm just saying, you know.
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, she she just didn't play idol. I don't blame her for not even playing it too
Yeah,
because I feel like other than the stuff with like Tim, she shouldn't really have expected to go out there.
yeah. I think out of everyone who got voted out with an idol, she's is the most like acceptable. Like it makes
One hundred
sense.
percent.
Yeah,
Yeah, I really don't understand why so many people like didn't play their idols. Like I
yeah,
feel like I would have read the room correctly,
yeah,
but I don't know what
Play
it's
your
like actually being out
advantages if
there.
you don't feel safe. It
yeah.
saved me
Yeah.
from seventh place to sixth place.
True. True.
So yes.
Um,
All right. So MVPs and LVPs this episode. MVP, I gotta give it to Rachel. I
well,
just like
hands
she was
down.
on fire
Yeah.
this episode. Like,
This was the Rachel episode. This was
Yes.
let's let everyone know that Rachel should win the game.
yeah,
Yeah,
I agree.
it's gonna be Rachel for me too. So
Yeah. Um, and then LVP, I mean, I think the choices are Genevieve or Kyle. I'm just gonna go Genevieve. I'd rather. I just like Kyle a little better. I think Kyle is less his fault and more the stigma that challenge beasts have than. Whereas I think Genevieve is actually like her announcing to the camera that she's distancing herself. To me is just like some of the worst gameplay that you can be making in the game of Survivor.
yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to agree with Joe, but I will say if I were to choose someone, I will say yes. Genevieve is probably the thing is, I feel like Kyle also got a lot of brownie points
Mhm.
because, like, he was such a good sport about it. Even Jeff wanted, to give him a hug at the end. I feel like he went out with grace and he accomplished a lot in the game. Not saying that Genevieve hasn't, but like Genevieve is just, her head is barely above water at this point, and I want to see her succeed, but it just doesn't seem as likely right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm giving it to Genevieve as well.
I hate
It's
doing it. I hate giving my winner pick an LVP.
Hey, we got to be honest. We can't let
yeah.
our emotional side cloud our judgment. You know,
But
we
Joe,
got a job to do.
didn't you say earlier that perception is reality?
Yeah, yeah, and use your perception right.
I will when everyone else does.
uh,
Killing
okay.
Ryan is fun.
Okay. Anything else? Or is that it here?
I can't
No,
think of anything for the episode that we haven't already discussed. I
same.
Mm,
mean,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
I've
Well,
already elaborated the next time on Survivor, but
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
We focused a bit on that. Okay. Well, Jake, if you want to plug anything right now, do so.
Yeah, absolutely. So Tribe of Nerds, we're releasing really our one of our last international Survivor rewatch reviews of Survivor South Africa Return of the Outcasts. That's coming out tomorrow. We also Michael got to share his thoughts from before he watched the season for the first time. So
Mhm.
that's pretty cool if you want to hear some solo thoughts from one of the team. And then, yeah, us three will get to, with Matt and Michael, so the five of us will get to do a draft of Survivor players from seasons 1 to 40.
Yeah,
yeah,
So,
yeah. That's gonna be a lot of
and
fun.
that should be that. Yeah, and essentially we'll be drafting a bunch of people, and then you guys get to vote on who made the best draft.
Yeah. And I can tell you
Uh,
right now, Jelensky is getting drafted by. Oh wait, no, we're not doing New Era in it, right?
Yeah, we're not doing New Era.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just
we can't
through
do
Winners at
Jelensky.
War.
Okay,
I
yeah,
feel
that's
like
right.
that was a specific attack on me.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Like
be
y'all,
happy.
y'all need to, the Aura community needs to learn that picking on Ryan is an old strategy. It's boring. Y'all hate boring seasons, stuff like that. Keep my name out your fucking mouth.
Don't worry.
And then your season won't be boring.
I was planning on drafting Banu as my winner spot because he won 1,000,000 hearts.
Oh my God, no.
That's a
Oh
good one.
geez. I am wondering who is gonna draft whom. I did a practice draft with Matt and like Kristen a couple weeks ago, and I had a bit of a ridiculous wild card pick. So I don't
Yeah.
think I'm gonna go that route this time, but
Yeah. I'm really curious to see also like what eras we really tackle too, because I know like
yeah.
I enjoy like the middle kind of Survivor of just
Yes.
like the seasons 13 to 20 especially is like
Yeah,
that's like
the
my
golden
that
era.
yeah, that's my prime like favorite parts of Survivor. So
It's a good one.
I feel like a lot of those are people who I'm definitely looking at picking.
For
Yeah,
me, it might be like I would say between 25 and like
yeah.
30. Well, I mean, like I say 34 in the sense of like, like that little like
Yeah.
stretch of like 10 seasons.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think Kagiyan is going to definitely get some love as well. I
Oh,
think
A lot.
absolutely.
if Kagiyan doesn't have
It's getting at least four different people
yeah,
from
I was going to
there.
say
Yeah.
for a minimum, I think maybe even more. Like there's some pretty good picks from that one. I think.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So that's kind of what's going on, and then like movie content, and the fact that a bunch of us will be at Over the Edge Celebrity Weekend this week, and we'll get to
Mm-hmm.
be posting stuff. I'm sure you'll see a bunch of stuff of like Ryan and I together, Pirate Sarah and Kevin. Yeah,
Matt's
it's
going to
gonna
be
be
down there
fun.
too, right? Yeah.
I don't think so, but
He's not?
I don't think so.
For some
He
reason,
just
I
saw.
also thought he was going, but maybe I'm also wrong. I don't
He
know.
he told me he wasn't able to,
Okay,
but
Oh, dang. That sucks.
yeah,
yeah,
And
unfortunately.
Joe is a wet blanket and he's not coming. It's not too
yeah.
late, Joe.
It's too
It's not
late.
too late. It is
I'm
not too late.
Joe.
I can't do it. It's not in the cards.
Oh,
Well,
sad.
Maybe next year. Maybe
I
next year will be the
used
year.
card destruction, so draw a new freaking hand.
And I draw a new hand, and that hand doesn't work either.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe
Now,
he has the Ryan luck.
but yeah, it's gonna be fun, and I can't wait to do more podcasts together and see where Tribe and Nerds goes as well. So.
100%.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that does it here for this episode. We will see you all in the next one.
Peace.